have overcome the stuff yet again.
Once more.
So welcome to the podcast, the 2 Decades Too Late podcast, everybody. I'm Brad hanging out with Josh.
Yeah. What's up, man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the podcast in which we rate and review an album that is turning 20 years old, mostly metal for whatever it's worth. Josh and I each give a rating of 1 to 5 to 4 different parameters for an individual maximum point total of 20 and a combined maximum point total of 40.
Yeah.
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 What are we doing today? What do we got going on?
Just real quick, before I announce what we're doing, like, it just kind of hit me that these albums have to wait yet another year to be old enough to have their first beer.
True.
It's
at
a
least
long
in our
time.
country.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, not in Canada, though.
I was speaking of which,
Yep.
these folks, this is Into Eternity. The album is Buried in Oblivion. That's what it's called. That's not the actual physical state of the album.
Correct.
Although
It's not all of those.
might as well be.
What were the Atari, the ET games where they buried like 1 million of them in a landfill in the 80s?
What?
Yeah.
Is that an
Yeah,
omnibus?
it's a thing. It is. And something I knew prior to Omnibus, I think from Gameranks.
Oh, okay.
A lot of worlds colliding on that one.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Interesting. They did go and look too. They dug it up, and they exaggerated the number that were buried, but there were so many physical copies of the Atari ET game that were buried.
That's crazy.
Yeah, basically they thought people are just going to buy whatever if we put a label on it that makes it seem big, and they were super wrong. And then like that's when Atari crashed and Nintendo gained speed. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I need to go learn about all of that. But before I get to that, we're going to talk about this album a little bit.
Look.
Into Eternity from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Regina famously rhymes with having a good time.
Great.
Yeah.
It is hard not to think about, and you all thought about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It rhymes with candy. Yeah, I could
You
keep
took it
doing
worse.
this.
You took it to a worse. Yeah.
Not even intentionally. That was just the word that came into my head. But these guys, active for 7 years at this point, formed in 1990. I wrote 1994, but actually 1997 is correct.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't take notes when you're drinking, or do.
That's what I do.
Yeah. 2 prior releases up to this point, so, pretty well-established band. Their first was in 1999, Into Eternity, the self-titled, and a follow-up album in 2001, Dead or Dreaming, which is, I think, around the time that was their first release on Century Media, actually.
Oh, sick. They really... I saw that they were on Century Media with the album that we're going to talk about, but I knew they were on Century Media. You know what I mean? They just had that early 2000 Century Media vibe to me.
Which makes me so surprised that or at least I missed them entirely. Like, I had never even heard of this band. I meant to look up how long they were on Century, because I don't think they are now. But...
Oh, interesting. Well, it is weird because we did gravitate toward... Well, they only had all of their releases through 2008.
Okay.
Well, no. So Into Eternity and Dead or Dreaming were on DVS, whatever that is. And then Buried in Oblivion, The Scattering of Ashes, and The Incurable Tragedy, all on Century Media.
All right.
And they had an album in 2018.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's okay.
That album cover looks familiar. And Stu's not even on this one. I figured that would be the way that I would have ran into this.
He's not?
No.
Damn.
So
The female
for everyone out there who
singer is
doesn't...
prominent in that one.
Yeah. Stu Block. The reason I ever found out or heard of Into Eternity... is because he was the lead vocalist for Iced Earth for a pretty long time. Nothing problematic about anything around that topic.
No, weirdly, he left in, I think, 2021.
Really? I wonder what caused him to want to do that.
I don't know. There's absolutely nothing that comes to mind that I could tie to somebody wanting to leave the band Iced Earth in 2021.
No, given that John Schaefer, the guitarist and main songwriter of Iced Earth, seems like such an upstanding man.
Yeah, he definitely did not want people to tread on him, which one could sympathize with, but
Indeed.
Live free or die.
Maybe Google him.
Yeah.
Maybe
that.
Starting on the album The Glorious Burden, we shouldn't have all been so surprised.
I wasn't at all.
No, I wasn't. Not even a little bit. It was the least surprise. Did you know The Glorious Burden came out in 2004?
No.
Huh. Boy, I missed that. Or I chose. Because I remember hating the fuck out of that album.
Was that the Ripper?
When it came out. That was the Ripper.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't
Unfortunate. He's such a good vocalist, but he just makes really poor decisions on when to join bands. It's really odd.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how I originally heard of Into Eternity, and that would have been, I don't really remember when Stu Block joined Iced Earth, 2011, so well past this.
Yeah, for sure.
That's when I would have looked into them because you could connect the dots or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But boy, it's sad that band got just murdered in 2021. That's oh boy. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'll just
this
continue
album
to be
came out February 10th, 2004. It's labeled as progressive metal / melodic death metal, which I totally agree with on both accounts.
Yep, nailed it.
And actually, so I found an All Music review. They gave it a 3.5 or a 3 out of 5. The user ranking was 4 out of 5, which I could also totally see.
Yep.
But the summary, and I always love these summaries, like whoever writes for All Music or wrote for in 2004, amazing.
Yeah.
If I ever meet you, I'll buy you a coffee. But it sums up with like, death and prog power fans alike may find plenty to sink their teeth into here, assuming they can endure the occasional cliches from either genre.
That is perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that was the podcast, everybody. We'll be back next week.
Yep, check out the Instagram. Check out the playlist.
Man, that is just that is accurate.
Yeah.
If you know what you're getting into with this style of music, yeah, that's why they're user ratings for. Just because it's like, yep,
yeah,
just did all the stuff that I wanted it to do or expected it to do.
And actually, I did enjoy the kind of more melodic death metal aspects of this album, and I thought they kind of integrated it into the prog framework in a relatively effective way.
Yeah, I would agree. Honestly, just overall, it's a pretty good album.
It is.
It's pretty solid. Tim Roth, the seemingly brainchild mastermind of everything they do, which that dude can shred a guitar to ribbons. He's so good. Is this the shreddiest album we've had?
It really probably is at this point, yeah.
And honestly, it was kind of nice because I was like, outside of like the metalcore stuff, this is kind of closer to what I listen to now, more so than a lot. It isn't at the same time, but it was just nice to be like, oh, actually good guitar solos and not 17-year-old emo kids writing metalcore and like,
yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, it was kind of nice just to hear someone be like a virtuoso at something.
Right. Not just trying their best.
Right.
Who else is on this album? Because they've had historically quite a few members. They've been around since '97, so a long time. So you're bound to go through.
True, but that list is
it's long.
That's a fucking list. But yeah, we've got Jim Austin on drums, percussion, and backing / death vocals. Though I would like to point out that they use death vocals every time they talk about harsh vocals on here, and I think that's very funny. It's not technically wrong, I guess. I just wonder what person who was only into prog wrote this wiki, who's like, oh, every time they scream at me, it's like those death metal bands. But it's really just not. Yikes. We've got Scott Krall on bass and backing vocals, also produced the album, and as far as I can tell, this is the only thing he ever produced.
Yeah, he had a hand in quite a bit of their albums, I think.
Yeah. Rob Dougherty. What is that?
Dougherty. Mrs. Dougherty.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, everything.
Yeah.
Well, one day we're going to have the welcome to the podcast. We can no longer talk about anything.
Well.
And I'm not mad about that, but I'm sorry. Anyway.
This kind of goes back to our whole omnibus humor discussion.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rob Dougherty, as I want all over the place.
Shannon Dougherty's brother.
On guitar and death vocals. When I was doing my research on this yesterday, I was laughing pretty hard every time I read death vocals. I don't know why. I'm like, that just sounds like someone who has no idea what they're talking about labeling this. Tim Roth, like I said, he's the main dude. He did clean and death vocals and guitar. As far as I can tell, he does most of, if not all, the solos and songwriting.
It seems like, yeah. Although he's not solely credited. Like, when I was reading the wiki page, they credit the full band on most occasions, which is cool.
That is cool. That's also, I feel like, one of those things that people aren't thinking do, because they're just like, we're a band. So then you realize, like, oh, I make more money if my name's on it more times, and I didn't get that far into my contract before I figured it out. Anyway, Chris Krall, Krall, I guess Krall.
Yeah, the brother of Scott Krall.
Clean and death vocals.
Interesting. Like, just a separate vocalist. He does nothing else, and he's only in the band from 2003 to 2004.
Yeah, he did this album, which Tim Roth was the lead vocalist.
Yes.
On previous albums.
And subsequent.
So, yeah. So I don't get the decision unless it was just like, man, there's a lot going on in this album. Hey, Scott, can you go get your brother? He's all right? Like, and can he just lay down some stuff? I am exhausted.
Can you fill in these couple very specific instances?
Yeah, right.
Just
he's like, "Cause man, I'm tired. I'm doing all these death vocals, and I'm just so
right." We need somebody to do alive vocals.
Yeah, that's very, very funny. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at an album that's 44 minutes and 37 seconds long, so it's a hefty jam.
It is a hefty jam, but it goes by I listened to this several times. And it wasn't until maybe later listens where I started to pick up on it kind of slows down and drags a little bit toward the end. Like, the last 3 songs are a solid, well, never mind. I was going to just state a mathematical fact. Like, the last 3 songs make up a quarter of the album. It's 12 fucking songs. So, that math checks out. Yeah. Good job, Josh.
It sure. Well, I mean, it's worth noting. You've got track 9, Black Sea of Agony, at 6.5 minutes. Right. It's not a joke. Yeah. That's pretty fucking long. So your point's well taken either way. I mean, yeah, I don't... Again, is this the Rush effect in Canada? Like, I'm assuming that's what it is, right? Like all of the people in the U.S. start out, when they're young, maybe in the 80s, 90s, listening to, Metallica, which there's nothing wrong with that, but then you got kids growing up in the 80s and stuff in Canada listening to fucking Rush. And it's like, you know what? There's not enough 7/8 in this song.
I assume there's just less to do in Canada. So people just decide, I'm going to get really good at an instrument. Because you can do that year-round inside.
True. I mean, otherwise you're just playing hockey, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Canadian stereotypes.
And chugging maple syrup. Suck it, Regina.
Yeah. And what you call bacon, which is really just ham. We call it Canadian bacon. Yeah. Take that shit.
Do we have any Canadian listeners?
We barely have U.S. listeners, so I don't know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so Buried in Oblivion. Let me tell you, you get through track 1, Splintered Visions, and you like it, buckle up, you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, even 20 seconds into the first song. Yeah. Because the first 18 are just the shred guitar. Yeah.
But, like, yeah, it's pretty sick. I got a lot of, you know how on, like, the old Shadows Fall, like, the Art of Balance, like the one with Thoughts Without Words and all that?
Yep.
How the guitar player, like, one did high screams and high death vocals, and the other one did low death vocals, and they played off of each other with Brian doing, like, clean-ish.
Yeah.
This reminded me of that. It gave me that kind of vibe a little bit, like... And I dig it. I liked it with Shadows Fall. I was like, okay, cool. These dudes are all doing stuff. Again, why did you get a vocalist? I don't understand. Like, I think you got it covered, but okay. Yeah, I talk a lot about the guitar work on this thing. A lot of, this is fucking nuts. Man, that part was fucking bananas. Well, that was fucking bonkers. Yeah. Like, just a lot of that in my notes.
I didn't do so much of a track by track breakdown because I mean, like, it all ends up kind of being the same. Theme.
It's more or less.
Like, it's varied, but I did pull some comparisons. Obviously, I have to say obviously to Dream Theater because Dream Theater had been doing this for about 20 years at this point. I was interested to look into it and find out that the Octavarium album, which has Panic Attack, so that's like what I know Dream Theater from, came out the following year in 2005.
Yeah, which we will most likely be covering.
Begrudgingly.
To my chagrin. Yeah, I do not like Dream Theater. It's so funny too, because like maybe the most talented band on the planet. I mean, it's possible, at least arguable.
Yeah.
And yet I can watch. Did I show you the videos of their keyboardist like hearing shit for the first time and playing it like a Drumeo thing?
No, maybe. But I watched the Mike Portnoy thing, but not the keyboard.
Yeah, I'll send it because it's crazier than that.
Damn.
He has perfect pitch.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and helpful probably.
I assume so.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any baseball players that have perfect pitch?
Great.
Yeah.
That is a great joke. Oh, man.
Yeah, but it's the first baseman.
Yeah. Good.
Who's on
Abbott
first?
And Costello would be very pumped. Yep. I mean, to your point about the lack of track-by-track breakdown, I did it out of habit more than anything else, I mean, they live at 4 minutes long. That's where they like their songs to be. And with all the talent they have and the guitar shredding and the drummer's a madman.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool for a band like this to live at that time. I know a lot of these albums, I get, like, pissy with how long some of the songs are. It's like, but you need more room for this kind of stuff. You gotta let everybody shine, and when you have this much talent, it just takes a minute.
I was very thankful that there was only one track that's over 5 minutes. I thought that was very smart to do on there, but like they didn't fall into the prog trap of we're gonna do every fucking thing we can in one song. You get a solo.
No.
You get a solo.
Right. No, it's like they essentially took the ideas of, more mainstream music and just applied it to their sort of flavor, and they didn't go nuts and because I can't do another whatever the fuck album it was.
Right.
What was that? Arian? Oh my God. Ugh. Well, I guess because we're gonna do Dream Theater. I can't fucking wait for that.
That one's not so bad. It's not 2 hours long.
Yeah, least. True. Well, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't have a lot to say about the individual tracks, honestly, until you get to Buried in Oblivion, the title track at track 8.
Yep.
You could almost separate this album into 2 parts. It's like tracks 1 through 7, excuse me, and then tracks 8 through 10.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing.
Yeah.
It really starts to wind down at Buried in Oblivion.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, though. I think... I know it seems small, but I think if you switched Black Sea of Agony and Buried in Oblivion, if you put Black Sea at track 8 and Buried in Oblivion at 9, I actually think it would have flowed better. Because Black Sea of Agony at 9 doesn't just start super slow, it kind of slows itself down, which I think would have been really effective after track 7, Isolation. And I think it would have just felt better, because it kind of threw me off a little bit. I was like, oh, you did this and then you just kept doing it for 3 tracks. It's weird to do. I mean, it's fine. None of them are in the race for my favorite.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if you're going to listen to this album and you're out there, just be mindful of that, because it's basically 2 albums on one. Yeah, it's very odd.
Right around track 8, it's going to stomp on the brakes.
I got hit by a truck.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Who would you liken this band to, actually? After listening to it, are they different enough to be their own thing, or can you be like, oh, it's definitely this band and this band and this band?
Well, I think going forward you could. I don't know if you could find their contemporaries necessarily. I do think Protest the Hero, if I didn't look it up. I guess this is just taking my best guess, but I'm going to go ahead and say that they probably listened to this band.
Canada.
There are parts where I'm like, you straight up played that. I have in Black Sea of Agony, there's a part where I was like, I don't know which song it is, but Protest the Hero played this part. This part is in one of their songs.
Nice.
Almost identically. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, prog melodic death metal, and I don't really know anyone else who was doing it quite like that at that time. I'm sure there's someone I'm not thinking of. But oh man, what's that band with the woman singer who's also the bass player? This could be a whole thing.
Oh.
So now that I'm thinking of it, I did get kind of into this
damn
kind of music for a second. What?
Well, I was going to say they reminded me, I definitely had some thoughts of the Human Abstract. They didn't release their first album until 2006, but they formed in 2004. So maybe they heard this album and thought oh, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that and add breakdowns.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's sick. I'm glad they did, because very, very good. When did it come out? You said 2006?
Yeah.
I didn't like their vocalist very much, but other than that...
I did. I thought he had a little bit of Greg Puciato type thing going on.
Prog with a side of pooch.
Sounds delicious.
It does, actually, yeah.
I'll have the prog with a side of pooch, please. And medium Coke.
Oh, man.
Rosie can of Coke over here.
Rosie can of Coke. How funny is shit.
So fucking funny.
Oh, my God. I think a good litmus test for this sort of thing, in a funny way, because it's another instance where, well, maybe I'll save that for when we get into the thing. I cannot... The Strapping Young Lad was kind of...
Yeah. Yeah.
ish in this vein a little bit, just not as like shreddy.
Yeah. Not as prog. Basically, they didn't have a high voiced vocalist.
Look up Triosphere. When were they kicking around?
Oh, okay.
Triosphere.
I remember them vaguely.
Triosphere's sick. 2004. Man, maybe everyone was just like, this shit is pretty good.
Right?
I mean, honestly, I would mostly liken them to Iced Earth.
Yeah.
Like, just with their overall sound. They had that Century Media kind of, I don't know how else to put it. It was like every record Century Media put out around that time had
A little bit
very
of
similar
Queensryche-y.
production styles. Queensryche's a super good call. Yeah, just with a little. They're not doing those death vocals.
Death vocals.
God, it's so funny.
I like the only member of the band who didn't get listed as death vocals was Scott Krall, the bass player and founding member. He's just backing vocals.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? I just, if it's true that all of those people recorded vocals on one album, that is, well, I mean,
every
it's
member.
not like, I know, and it's not like us, like, recording She's a Nightmare and doing a gang vocal where,
Right.
yeah, we could all be credited, but, like, no, you have to listen to me not knowing what the fuck I'm doing most of the time. But it's ridiculous. I mean, Sandstorm? They did a single. Did they cover Sandstorm?
I hope so.
That would be awesome. I'm gonna look that up when we're done.
There's no vocals.
It's just
but
maybe this was between. Because they had that long break between 2008 and 18 where
yeah.
they didn't really. They just put out a couple singles.
I could see them doing that, but also at the same time, like I could totally see them having a song called Sandstorm that had nothing to do with.
Let me tell you, it's one or the other.
Yeah. It's almost certainly.
Yeah. I guess like, yeah, unless you have anything else you found, I'm good with getting to the review.
I thought it was interesting. They went on tour in support of Dream Theater in 2007. So they did eventually like connect those dots.
Oh, cool. Man.
Yeah.
That's just like my worst situation for a show. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, because that stuff's impressive as hell, but after standing on concrete for 2, 5-minute, 4-minute songs, it's like, all right, well.
Get on with it.
Yeah. I mean, when the fucking vocalist of Dream Theater can't even stay on stage because that's how long their shit goes,
right.
I don't need to watch it then. If he's not watching it, why do I have to watch it? You go back and take a bath.
That's made it in like every episode for a solid couple of weeks, I'm pretty sure.
Good. It's not on purpose. That is just one of my very few go-tos where
It's
you
a good
have...
go-to.
It is. It actually gets pretty watchable.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's one that you have ready to go.
It's because a lot going on.
It is. Yeah, it's true. That's true.
And then Stu was in the band right after this album, like joined in 2005 until 2013, and then again like in 2021, like we discussed. Something happened with the band Iced Earth, and he was suddenly no longer in it. And
when was that?
It
was like Q1, right? Q1 of
2020 is and then
Q1 of 2020,
and then there was subsequent hilarity, and then probably a sentencing. And then
interesting.
Suddenly, it's difficult to play in a band when the guitar player is absent.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Little. What a douche.
Not to dig too far into it, I'm just like, let's touch on this and then run away from it. Which is worse? John Schaefer or Tim Lambchop?
Wow.
Or do we just say like equally bad in two different directions?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going Tim Lamb Chop's worse.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's worse. But as much shit as I talked, he was on a massive amount of steroids.
Right.
And this guy just, sucks bald eagle dicks. Yeah. So I don't know. One was chemically motivated, and one was cult hive mind motivated.
This will be a separate
Interesting.
episode. Support us on Patreon.
That is rough. I don't like anything about that. It's
I think
a good
we should
conversation.
pivot to the review.
You are right. You are. Your dude. I saw your lifting guy talk about anabolic steroids. Did you see that?
On Dr. Mike?
I don't think it was that. I think it was just like a podcast. It was on YouTube. It was in one of my shorts, but he made it sound terrifying. That shit. I was like, oh my God, I'm glad I've never done that, and I will never. He's just like, I wake up and I am miserable. I live in a beautiful area. I go outside. I know I should enjoy the lake, the trees, the beautiful everything, and I don't.
Yeah.
He's like, I know I should, but I'm so rage filled. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Stop.
It was on a podcast with a different Dr. Mike. I meant to send that to you because I thought it was pretty interesting. They talk about a lot of stuff. If you just caught that snippet in a short, go back and watch the whole episode because they talk about the future in medicine, and he's got I think cool. Muscle Dr. Mike has a lot of interesting insight into the future of pharmacology.
Huh. I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah.
That's very on brand. Review?
Yeah! Well, Akon? Are we reviewing Akon?
Sick. I wouldn't have known who that is.
It's Akon.
Yeah, well, yes. Without you telling me. Camelot.
Yeah.
That band. When were they around? If they started in 2004, I'm giving up.
No. Surely the 80s.
'87. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've been around a long
time. And Nevermore sounded like was doing a lot of that stuff with the shred because they had Jeff Loomis and everything. All right. I feel a little better. I was like, I don't want to not give them the props if they were the only thing. But okay. I'm not saying Camelot's exactly like them. Maybe worth noting, though, that the artist who did the album cover for this album also did the album cover for Camelot album.
I was totally sandbagging on that. I was waiting to just spring that on you.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the artwork. So I think the artwork is great. I think it's super sick. And he's not credited again in the wiki. This other person who makes
pissed me off.
Shit ton. Yeah, I mean, done Sabaton, Camelot, and basically
Epica,
this seems to be his niche.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, Evergrey. That's another one. Yeah, okay. Okay. All right.
We're connecting some dots.
I mean, they're all different. They're all different flavors, but they're within the same ballpark, I would say.
Yeah. Same album artwork.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I like it. I don't. Do you know what? That's a blackbird of some kind standing on
a shovel flange.
That's okay. It does look like a shovel handle.
It is.
And what's that into?
I can't tell that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the part
it just gets
that
a little
loses
blurry.
me.
It's definitely a hole. The presumption is somebody is digging. in this what appears to be tomb, pyramid, chamber.
Is it Oblivion and someone is being buried in it?
That is possible. I'm not going to rule it out.
The song's about darkness.
Yeah.
And really fixating on it. You're fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's more 2003 Metal Hardcore Fest, everybody. It comes up a lot.
So
I watched it recently.
Right?
What did you think? Well, I guess I could get my score. I don't know if I actually thought through the score part. I mean, it's sick. I like it. I think it's well drawn. I like the font. I think the band logo is pretty understated and neither here nor there, which is fine. It doesn't like suck. It's just kind of, I don't know.
See, and I gave the album artwork a 4 because of the band logo. I don't care for it. I don't like where it's placed in the overall album artwork. I think it's too prominent up in that top left corner where there's nothing else but darkness. Like, it would have been such a 5 if they just took that off. Because the graphic is sick and the font for the album title is sick. But I knocked it down from a 5 because of the logo.
You know what? I'm not even gonna. That's 100%. Yep, 4.
I was waiting for you to cover every single topic that I had written down.
Sick.
And you pretty much did the heavy lifting for me there.
I mean, it's one of the better album covers that we've talked. It looks so fucking sick.
I love the detail in the architecture of the space around the shovel flange and the bird.
Yeah, agreed. Shovel. The fuck's a shovel flange?
Fucking hate their logo.
Is it supposed to be like a door knocker?
Or, yeah.
Or just like a moon
steering wheel
thing. The steering wheel. I mean, now I want to give it a 3 because I'm like, why do you have a steering wheel in your logo? You're not a NASCAR team.
Or a bowl with an overly sized nose ring.
All in play. I don't have solid arguments against any of those guesses.
Nope.
And I'm zoomed in a lot. Like, I got nothing.
No,
all right.
Get out of here. The studio where they recorded this is called Touch Wood in Regina.
That's on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't... Wow. All right. I didn't notice that.
I didn't either until just now. But what do you think about the production of this album, Brad?
Man. Whew.
Certainly doesn't make me want to touch wood.
No, it's fine. Its big hang up, and like is so often the case, is the then verse now part, because it is dated as hell.
It is dated.
I am very impressed to find out that the guitar player was using like the Line 6 pod stuff even back then.
Damn.
Like, he didn't use a physical amp to record, I don't think, almost any of their albums. Maybe, I'm sure, the first couple. But he was on that bandwagon really early, which is unfortunate because I do think the guitar tone, the rhythm guitar tone, is one of the worst things about the production for me. It's very thin, but of course it was. I found that out after, and I'm like, that almost makes up for it, because it's like, it's... Considering that fact, it sounds great in 2004. Because, I mean, when did I get my Pod Farm stuff? 2011?
It was late.
And it was still pretty, like, rough around the edges even then.
Yeah.
So 2004 that's like that one, the Pig Destroyer dude using fake drums. Like,
that's true.
That was way ahead of his time. But that part's the worst part for me. I think the levels are good. Everything, the person who mixed and mastered it knows what they're doing. Like, I hear everything fine. Like, everything sits roughly where it needs to. But I just, I don't like the guitar tone at all. Like,
that's fair.
And so, like, and again, it sounds dated. It sounds old. So I give it This would be a situation where I would go probably 2.5, so I'll bump it to 3.
Okay. I had a lot the same to say. I ended up actually giving it a 4. I knocked it down. It could never be a 5 because you throw in like the Dimmu Borgir factor, and it can't be a 5 because of that. And it definitely sounds dated, and like the guitar tone right on. If you're gonna start with a crazy shred, like that's how you're just gonna start your album, that guitar tone is not correct for that.
No.
I actually should back this down to a 3, but I'm gonna leave it at a 4. I do think everything is crystal clear, which helps it out.
The mixing is very well done.
I have a problem with the mixing though. Like it does seem a tad off at times. Like at times some things are like muddy or quieter than I think they should be for that specific point in the song.
I mostly do truly think they didn't know what to do with all the vocals. Like
that's a part of it too.
Because sometimes like I get you want to flex your production muscle, but sometimes it's just like they don't need to be doing all this.
Right.
Like I don't. It doesn't really add. There were times where I'm like, man, I'm getting bludgeoned to death with vocals right here. Like sometimes and it's unnecessary.
It really is too many ostriches.
Seriously, yeah. All right, sick though. I mean, but yeah, if the most important thing about a production is being able to hear everything and having it sit in the right levels where it should, they did a great job. So I got no problem with it. I mean,
there's not really a lot to say for Impact at the time.
No, I heard it yesterday.
Yep.
So one, I mean, I did, yeah. Yeah. Very good. I mean, we have a lot of albums suffering from that one thing.
We did put a lot of those on here intentionally, though.
True. Yes, we did.
This one's going to come out all right, despite that fact. But, like, I can't even... Like, there's been situations where we could at least kind of translate a tangential impact. I can't do that with this band at all.
No. Outside of just liking Century Media stuff,
right?
That's the best I could do, and that's all because of Iced Earth.
Yeah,
which is funny now.
It is hysterical.
God, it makes me sad.
Yeah. Well,
how much did you enjoy listening to this today?
I thought I was actually no, that's not true. It was never going to be a 5. I did give it a solid 4 though. It's pretty sick. It's a good album overall. It's not my typical jam, but like the death vocals do help out a lot for me, not just having to listen to a high voice singer. I can listen to it more than a Dream Theater album because it's kind of just more palatable or more accessible anyway, because it's not so prog. He just has a high voice.
Right. And I will just say that he's the worst part, which is the funniest thing.
Right.
He was also seemingly unnecessary, so I don't really know what to say about that. I'm going to have to go back and listen to one of the ones where the guitar player, what is it, Tim?
Tim? There are those who call me Tim.
Tim? The what? Tim the...
Just Tim.
Did he just say Tim?
Yeah.
I thought he followed it with something. Not the Toolman Taylor.
No.
Those are
different
Tims.
One has goat horns.
Uh-huh. And asks, that's the riddle guy, right?
No. That's the killer rabbit guy. Look at the bones!
Yeah, okay. Tim the Enchanter.
Oh, okay. He could probably sell tools.
Probably.
No, that's not true. He couldn't convince them not to attack a rabbit.
No. In fairness, look at the bones.
Yeah. Didn't work.
Yeah.
Terrible sales pitch.
But honestly, not though. Like, I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm listening to this guy. He means what he is saying to you right now with a great deal of passion.
That's true.
So it's like, got to go get that holy hand grenade. Is anyone following this? How many people shut off the podcast at this point?
Yeah.
If you're still with us, thanks.
Yeah.
Because we didn't even technically say what we were talking about.
No, we're still not gonna.
No.
Did
no.
you
No
didn't
time.
give a number for enjoyed listening today?
I sure didn't.
We
But
got off
I
on
will
a
also
tangent.
give it. We did. I would also give it a 4. I had a good time. By track 10, the last 3 songs are again they're lacking, and I don't love the vocalist, but the first 7 songs are great. Vocalist be damned, like they're crushing it, and I was sad that this is new to me. It would have been cool to, I don't know, hear this sooner.
Maybe.
All right, sick. Yeah, maybe. All right, Josh, you have scored the album at a 13.
Yeah.
And I at a 12. Oh, production. So yeah, 25 overall. Not bad. Still beat out Necrofascist.
Yeah. Sick.
Oh boy. So yeah, listen to this if you're into. I mean, this is a tough sell, kind of in a way.
Yeah, I don't know who
Like
I would recommend this to.
I don't either. I mean, Evan, if you're listening to this episode, and actually kind of be a little surprised if you didn't hear them, probably, because he was really into this stuff.
That's a good point. I mean, I wouldn't not recommend it to anybody by the same token.
No, it's just it's its own kind of it's its own kind of thing.
In the specific case that somebody was going to start a podcast in which they talk about albums that are turning 20 years old, I would recommend this album to them.
Yeah.
Might make for compelling content.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Did you see the album cover on the next? Oh, the dude doesn't list this album cover on his website.
Good. That's actually
It's weird.
Bad. Yeah, that is weird.
And he did the next Into Eternity album.
He did all of them,
which is on his website. Like he just left this one off. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, but it does look super sick.
It does. I still hate their logo. They moved it down the page a little bit, but it's still like the same size that it was. And it's so distracting in that composition. I hate it.
Boy, it is
make better choices. Matthias Norin.
That's a hell of a name. Did he do all of their? Yeah. Also, this is of no consequence whatsoever, but their album cover for the one after that, The Incurable Tragedy, is terrible. I have no idea how you got from where you started to there with the same guy.
Yeah.
And then he just takes this massive left turn, and what is that?
It's very pew pew pew.
Yeah. Oh, and their logo looks even worse. Oh,
They made it
and
bigger.
The script for the. Ugh.
It's the
God, that's
Dementors.
bad.
Dementors?
Man, it does kind of look like the Dementors.
That's
All right,
exactly.
I don't know.
Pick a favorite song, Brad.
Oh, right, we do that. Sorry, I actually legitimately forgot. I am going to do 3D Aperture.
Sick. I'm glad I didn't pick 3D Aperture because it was the first choice, honestly.
Yeah, it's super good.
Yeah, it's a great. Oh God, 3-dimensional aperture. Super good song. Equally good though, I would say. Beginning of the End. They're like a 1A, 1B when I listen to this.
Agreed. And honestly, the first song was really good too. And Spiraling into Depression. I'm telling you, those first 7 songs are just very good.
They're super
All right,
good.
cool. So we got 3D Aperture and Beginning of the End. And those are our favorite songs, which we will be adding to our Spotify playlist. Hey. Awesome. It
In
is the
subtitles, it would
TDTL
say
favorites.
fanfare.
Wait, what?
In subtitles, it would say fanfare.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing like bringing
Awesome.
things to a grinding halt.
I'm down for it always.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be adding that to the Spotify playlist. If you would like to do so, check us out on Instagram at TDTL_podcast.
Send us messages
Where-
and stuff.
Yeah. All right.
If
Into
somebody-
Oblivion.
Into Oblivion.
Into eternity.
Into eternity. Buried
Into
in
Oblivion, a Mastodon song? No, it's just Oblivion.
Buried in Eternity by Oblivion. I guess.
Into Oblivion, a song by Funeral for a Friend.
Oh, that sounds good. Check that out later.
And by Vader. And by Miss May I. Oh, a lot of people have a song called Into Oblivion, huh?
I'm gonna probably like the Vader song best out of the three of those.
Could not agree more. Yep. Actually, I can say with 100% certainty without hearing any of them that I like the Vader version the best. But, all right. Great.
Oh, I guess.
Stu.
Yeah.
Stu block. Stu block it.
Stew block. Stew it. With that, he's been Brad. I've been Josh, and we've been 2 decades too late.